Hey everyone, it's Random Noob, and today's video is my Season 3 ranked tier list. So this tier list is going to be completely for ranked. I have not scrimmed at all, so I don't really know competitive or anything like that right now, the meta for that. So this is just going off, based off my ranked games and my opinion on the meta. Remember, this is my opinion, and it's also extremely early in Season 3. So all this stuff I could be saying could be completely wrong, and in 2 or 3 weeks I change my mind, you know? And that's just what a good drafter does. They adapt, they learn, and they keep learning. And as a good player, you should be doing the same thing. Learn from your games, learn from what picks actually did well and why they did well. Learn from why. Don't just be like, oh my gosh, that Strix just owned me. This is why Strix is OP. Be like, no, Strix is OP because he's a sniper that does a bunch of damage that can still stealth. Stuff like that. So in this tier list, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to go by class. So we're going to start with damage and flanks. We'll move to tanks, and then we'll move to supports. The reason I'm doing this is kind of just save time a little bit. With so many champions in this game, tier lists can go extremely long. I don't want to make another, hour video with me just rambling on. I kind of want to just get to the point right away, show you guys what's good, show you guys what's bad, and talk about it a little bit, and then wrap around, bring everything together. So let's hop right into it. Obviously, we're going to be starting off in the damage and flank category because that's my main category. That's what I play the most of. And we're going to go down the tier list from S to F, and we'll talk about the heart of it and everything, and we'll try to get to every character. But I think this will just speed up the tier list, me just getting it out in front of you guys to kind of look at it right away, and we'll just talk through it tier by tier. These are not in any particular order. I do not have these in like an order where, left or right is better. Really, the only order is damage on the left, flanks on the right. It's nothing crazy. Anything in that tier, we're just going to say is equal. Starting off, you can kind of see with my damage tier, it's actually skewed towards the top. I actually think damages are really good right now in general, and flanks, just because you need a lot of damage. You need damage to kill anything. Tanks got severely nerfed in terms of the damage they can do. They're still extremely tanky, as we'll talk about later in this tier list. However, just the raw damage output you need in this meta, it just makes damages better. I'm not sure this is going to go to a triple DPS meta, but based on this, it looks like there's a lot of viable, just a lot of strong damages if we're just looking at my curve here. Let's just explain a tier list real quick. When you're making a tier list, you start with B. B is like your meat and potatoes. A good balanced game ideally has a bell curve where B has the most amount of champions. In this situation, you can kind of see it is skewed towards the top where there's a lot more champions above B than below in my tier list. And that's because a lot of these lower tier champs kind of got buffed a little bit. Like Sky or Amani or Shaolin. Shaolin was a little lower. Tiberius is a new champion that's just pretty good. So that's why it looks a little skewed towards the top. It's just damages are just good, and playing them right now is very important. It's very important to securing wins for your team. So starting off on S, my top tier damages right now are Bomb King and Strix. So the reason I have Bomb King and Strix up there is because of the two damages that just put out insane damage while also being very easy to live on. BK, getting pocketed by a double healer comp or just a single healer with a Genos pocket, Genos pocketed Bomb King, they're just going to run you over. And I think it's the only champion in the game that can really do that. It's just the damage output, the survivability, it's just too strong in this category. And honestly, you're asking me, wait, didn't Strix get nerfed? Random noob, I thought Strix got nerfed. Well, he did get nerfed. Unfortunately, that nerf is not enough. The nerf just didn't do much at all. Strix still outputs insane damage. Really, the nerfs kind of just prove that high-res doesn't really know why Strix is OP and why Strix is in the meta. Unfortunately, they're going to have to nerf his Talon rifle damage. It's going to have to go to 1100. They're going to have to nerf his stealth of some sort. They're going to have to do something. Like, these stealth champions got buffed this patch. Shaolin, Sky, Strix. There's no... Illuminate got nerfed. Because of that, Strix, Shaolin, Sky get a little better when Illuminate gets nerfed. So those are my premier damage champions this patch, Bomb King and Strix. Moving on to A+, we're looking at a little flank characters here. We're seeing some flanks with a ton of mobility towards the top of the tier list. Androxus. You may wonder why I have Androxus so high. Andro is just really good. The thing about this meta I've noticed is you need a lot of damage output. That's why it's Strix and BK are at the top. And Andro puts out the most damage of any flank. by far. Just puts out insane damage. Very, very strong. Tons of mobility. Andrew goes to A+, 100%. His new ammo card, really, really good. Definitely throw that in your decks. Xin. Xin number 2. He's been getting banned a lot in ranked. A lot. I'm not sure the bans are justified. I think he's very, very good. That's why I have him at A+. However, I don't think he's like the nuts win a game 100% on every map. He's very good in the maps he's good on. That's why he's at A+. Guillotine's extremely strong now that you get the extra piercing damage. You get the extra pierce, not the extra damage from Yomi. Running morale boost too, along with that 15%, you get your ultimate pretty dang fast. That's why Zin's up there. He's also just extremely hard to kill. I think he deserves A+, 100%. I'm struggling to put him at S, even though he's getting banned like he's an S character in ranked currently. We'll see. Maybe I'll move him to S. Maybe I'll even move him down. He fits really well at A+, though, for now. Moving on to A, we have our new damage character, Tiberius. Tiberius is going to fit in A really well, in my opinion. He's just a good character. Honestly, I think he's probably the best A character. His Q is just insane. A lot of people are calling it an ultimate. It's not his ultimate, obviously. And his ultimate is just really fun. I just love this character. I cannot wait for Tiberius to be in ranked. Obviously, he's not in ranked yet, but we're going to throw him in the tier list anyways. We're going to predict it. We're going to try to guess. And I think the new champ is going to fit in A pretty well. He is also going to be along Cassie, Leon, which is pretty much just the tag team duo. You're always going to put Cassie and Leon next to each other. They're just both still really good. The nerfs didn't really touch them at all. Leon actually might have gotten buffed. I don't know. People haven't really tested out precision enough, but every time I see it, it seems to be really good. So precision might be the new talent for Leon. Not sure about that. Cassie, honestly, they nerfed her, but Megaton's still a card, and Resilience got nerfed, so Megaton even gets more value. Honestly, Cassie's still really good. They're going to have to nerf these champions a lot more to kind of bring them down into the tier list. Moving on, Kinessa. Kinessa. Why is Kinessa so high on my tier list, you might ask? The reason is her DPS right now with steady aim is actually incredible. She's so hard to kill. They buffed her her teleporter. Beam Me Up, still really good. Restore, honestly, I think they buffed it. You only have to run 1 point in it now, and it heals you for 25%. I think it's really good. So Kinessa is going to be very high on my tier list because of this. Because I keep saying the meta requires a lot of damage and survivability out of your DPS. Kinessa does that amazingly. Honestly, she might even be better than Cassie and Leon. Any teams with like nut snipers are going to be in a really good spot right now. Moving on to Shaolin. Shaolin rework is insane. Honestly, he's just extremely good. He can fit in that, you know, big beefy damage category with his rapid shot. His rapid shot does a bunch of damage. Tons of damage out of that. Also, he has a silence if you run the silence legendary and a cripple on his right click. Without the silence legendary, you can run recurve and have a cripple, which is just bonkers, by the way. So honestly, Shaolin, he's gonna be a top tier pick. A category seems fine. So if you're looking at this, there are a lot of champions that are just really good for damage so far. And we're moving on to Victor. Victor, wow, random noob, you're putting Victor very high, and I'll tell you why I'm putting Victor so high. Victor has a lifesteal card, and with Cauterize being nerfed, having a lifesteal card with that much damage output makes you extremely hard to kill. Because you're also probably going to be getting supported by your support and, you know, maybe a tank or something else as well. So how are you going to kill a Victor? How is an Eevee going to get on a Victor? How is a flank going to get on a Victor when he's getting pocketed and he has lifesteal? I don't know. I don't know. And that's why I think Victor is going to be a very, very strong pick as well. Basically, the way I see Victor is just another Kinessa. Really strong damage output. Very hard to kill alongside a team. And you can just carry the game super hard with these champions. That's why I'm putting Victor at A. Another strong pick. Eevee, I have Eevee and Maeve in weird spots here. I don't know. I mean, you could switch these around probably and be all right with it. I think, honestly, I like this a little better on it to now that I'm looking at it. So we're going to talk about Maeve first. Maeve, she did get a new card, Predation, but I don't know. It's just, I don't think she does enough damage. That's my issue with Maeve and Eevee right now. They just don't do enough damage. That's why I have them so high, because they're just so mobile. They're so hard to kill. However, I'm just struggling to find the impact on these champions at times. I think Maeve is still good. I think Eevee are still good. It's just they're not the premier flanks in my opinion. The premier flanks are Andrew's in right now, and that's just 100%. So for the A category, I think it looks pretty strong. I like Maeve a little higher than Eevee. Maeve's just a little bit more consistent than Eevee right now. Her damage output is quite a bit if you run predation. It's okay. It's not great, but she still has the mobility. She still has the survivability. She'll fit in a comp pretty well. I'm just struggling to put her at A plus or S like I have in previous tier lists. So moving on to B plus. So like I said before, with how tier lists work, this is still above average champions. These champions, in my opinion, are still extremely strong. They're not going to be top tier like A plus, or toppest of tiers like S. However, they are still going to be playable. They're definitely going to be viable in the right situations. And here's my B plus category. We're going to start off with my favorite character in the game, the Drogitos. Shout out to Prince Danny for coming up with that. So Drogitos is going to be a B plus for me. I'm putting him a little high than most people. I think a lot of people put him at B just because the issue with Drogos, and it's always been his issue, is he's just so squishy. He's just too squishy, and that is kind of an issue in this meta with characters like Androxus existing, Maeve, Xin, Strix, BK, characters that'll just shoot you out of the sky, clip your wings a little bit. That's why Drogo's at B plus. He puts a lot of damage out. He's just too squishy. That's his issue. Vivian, random noob. Wait, you like Vivian, huh? And the reason I like Vivian is because her damage is insane. She's also hard to kill, and she has a lifesteal card. Basically the same things, same reasons I think Victor is good. I think Vivian is good. Vivian, bunch of damage. You need that for the meta, and that's honestly it. Bunch of damage, bunch of damage, bunch of damage. Koga, wow. This tier list is kind of changing a lot from my previous one. Koga's up there. Koga was an F last tier list, but now he's got this new card, Trigger Happy. Well, it's not a new card. It's just a card that is working a lot better with cauterize nerfs and Life Rip being cheaper. So you can now buy Life Rip 2 and just heal for insane amounts early game when they have like caught ones and stuff like that. So Genos Koga is an extremely good combo because of this, running Trigger Happy. However, the reason I do not have him higher, like where people are banning him and stuff like that, is because he just struggles into the top tier damages. All these damages that have just insane damage output are just going to own Koga. And that is the reason I'm putting him low, as a lot of people would say. If he wasn't so weak to burst damage, I would have him at A+. But because of this weakness to burst damage, he's going to be falling lower in the tier list to B+. Still a good champion, still extremely playable, extremely viable, just a little lower. Moving on to the two flanks in the B+ category, we have Skye. So Skye did get a pretty big buff, in my opinion, with Smoke and Daggers. However, Skye kind of has the same issue as Koga. You get these top tier damages like BK, Strix. There's just too many things that counter her to put her really, really high in the tier list. Smoke and Daggers is good. However, definitely counterable. I do think it's playable, though. Definitely still worth playing. Don't think it's top tier. And moving on to this Maeve and Eevee conversation again, like we were talking about. Maeve and Eevee just kind of, they just don't do enough damage, and that's my issue. If the only reason they're high up here is because of their mobility. That's it. Their survivability. The damage output just isn't there. However, I do think they're extremely good. I would probably play Eevee over the rest of these B+ champions, and I would play Maeve a lot compared to these, and that's just because they fit a special category. They're the flank category. There's not many flanks in the game. If Andrew or Xin get banned, Maeve and Eevee are up next, in my opinion. They just do their job well. And I think they fit the meta decently as a flank. However, if you're running like a support beefy damage like BK, I could see flanks struggling to that if you just don't get any openings and they just snowball on you. And that's why I have Eevee just a tad lower on the tier list, just a tad bit lower than a lot of people would expect. But like I said, B+, still good. These champions are all still really good. We're not even at the average category, which we will be going to now. So these characters, in my opinion, are average. They're playable. They're just not great. As you can see, I have two off supports here. I do have supports of my damage and flank, but these are like the damage style of the support with Catalyst or maybe even combat medic or megapod. You could kind of run Pip as an off damage. I don't think he's a main healer. He's an off healer, off damage type of thing. And Grok, this is just Maelstrom Grok. This is not heal Grok at all. Not Totem, not Spirit's Domain. So starting off with Buck, a lot of people thought Buck was going to be kind of insane with the cauterize nerfs with bulk up. Honestly, I just don't see it. And my issue with it is that I keep bringing this up, is the damage output. Buck just doesn't do any damage unless you're right on top of people. And if you're right on top of people, you're going to be getting owned by Strix. You're going to be getting owned by BKs. You're going to be owned by Andros. You're going to be owned by Tiberius, Cassius, Leon. All these characters are just going to own Buck. They're just going to own him. And bulk up, it's not great enough when they get caught 3. It's just not good enough. You're going to die a lot. You're not going to put out the DPS. I have him at B because I think he's viable. I think he's playable. However, I don't think he's a premier flank. I don't think he's a premier damage. He actually should be over here by the flank side. Moving on to Dredge. I've talked about Dredge a lot in my videos, how good I think he might be. Honestly, I think he's a little weak. The issue with him is his damage just isn't consistent enough. You could run Hurl and maybe get more consistent damage that way, but the issue with Hurl is that it doesn't cauterize, and also you're kind of taking away Dredge's OP scuttle damage with Deft Hands. So for me, Dredge is just a little weak. I still think he's good. I still think he's playable. He's definitely better than what he was based on the cauterize nerfs and just the healing decks people are pulling out. However, I don't think he is good enough because he basically has the Drogo's issue where he doesn't live. He just dies. People can run Androxus and just reversal all your damage and you just get blown up. That's happened to me so many times when I'm playing Dredge, and it's just like, dang, Dredge probably just isn't that good, is he? It's unfortunate, but I don't know. Maybe with a Hurl style deck, maybe he's just versatile enough, because if they do go like some kind of Andro Mave or Andro Drogos where they're flying and Scuttle isn't good, you can run Hurl still. So there is a potential to maybe, move him up the tier list as the season goes along. But for now, I'm going to throw him at a B. Moving on to Pip Catalyst. And honestly, I'm looking at this now, and I don't think Pip fits in this category. I just don't for damage Pip. I'm going to drop him. So we'll talk about him later. Moving on to Amani. Amani got a lot of buffs this patch. She now can jump shoot, which is a pretty big deal. I don't know how good Frost Amani is. My heart wants to say it's not that great, but Fire Amani feels good. The jumping around, just exploding people. Her dragon is so strong now that Bulldozer got nerfed. She's just a good champion. She's just a solid, viable, good champion. I'm not going to put her up a top tier or anything just because of how squishy she is, but the combos you could do with her dash into her right-click Inferno Cannon is kind of insane. Just one of the most satisfying combos in the game, as Doe would say. It's just a good time. I love Amani. I'm going to be playing so much Amani this patch, just straight up. Moving on to Grok, Maelstrom Grok. I think Maelstrom Grok is okay. I think it's better this patch because of Cauterize nerfs and Bulldozer nerfs. His totem can get a little bit more value for that. His ultimate, honestly, just a lot better. The movement speed, really, really good. And just the fact that Cauterize nerfs, his healing on his ultimate is going to be pretty good. Also, he builds his ult super fast when this kind of death ball. People are kind of grouping up a lot more. So your right clicks get a lot more value. That's why I moved him up the tier list, but he's just not good enough for me to go B plus A yet. Just yet. I can see if the meta develops a little bit and it's a lot more grouping and the right click damage is actually being influential, it's actually getting enough poke, that Grok definitely can move up this tier list quite fast. And we already talked about Buck. So that's my B tier list. Basically, every champion above B is not only viable, but playable on almost every map. Once we get down to C, D, F, these are more champions that you really just don't want to pick. And if you do pick them, they are playable for the C and D category. F is just, in my opinion, straight unplayable. Never play it on any map. So starting with C, we have Lex. Lex didn't really get many changes this patch, and it basically just means he's going to be lower on the tier list. His DPS output isn't enough to warrant having such a squishy, such a ownable character. Any CC, any lift, or like a Genos lift, or anything like that, you're just screwed. You just die instantly. His mobility isn't strong enough to warrant picking his DPS. Like, it's not that much damage. Like, why run Lex when you can run any of these characters at the top that just do more damage than him, are easier to live on? It just doesn't really make sense to pick Lex right now. Also, his ultimate, just, I don't know. Lex ultimate, it's just never found its place in the meta. It's never been good enough, you know? Moving on to Tyra. Tyra got some buffs and some changes and stuff like that. However, I still don't think it's enough. Burn Monster Tyra is probably the best version of her right now. And honestly, it just doesn't feel that good. She has no mobility. That's what it comes down to. She has no mobility. She's not tanky enough. Even with Nade Tyra, you're not tanky enough. You're not doing enough damage. She just needs more DPS output. She needs to be more like a Vivian if you want to move her up the tier list. Like, Vivian, insane damage, pretty good survivability. Really, like, she has a 30% movement speed card and a lifesteal card. Like, I guess Tyra has in-deck lifesteal, but it's just not that good, unfortunately. So if we want to see Tyra move up the tier list, she's going to have to be more like a Vivian. More like that. More survivability, more damage, stuff like that. And that's why she kind of sits at C. I think she is playable, though. I think she's solid. She's just not good. Talus, basically the same thing for him. Not many changes this patch. Nothing to kind of bring him into the meta. He's not bad. He's got good damage output, but he's always going to struggle from the same things where he just doesn't... His kit just doesn't fit, right? Like, you have a timer for when you can do things, and then once that timer's over, you're pretty much just a sitting duck and you're dead. And if you don't go in, get that value, and get out at the last possible second, you're screwed. And that's why Talus is kind of low on my tier list. But I will say C, playable for all you console players out there. I will say the console players are looking pretty good this patch. A lot of good picks for console players, in my opinion. Koga, Vivian, Sky, Leon, Victor. There's a lot of good console picks. Strix, I mean, might be a console meta a little bit. Might be a console meta. So, going to Pip. Like I said, Pip's going to be in the C. He just doesn't do enough damage. The off-healing, I thought Pip was going to be really good. I honestly thought Megapod was going to be insane before the patch. But I've learned that these crazy damage outputs from BK, Andro, Strix, Tiberius, they're going to just shut Pip down. The healing's not going to be enough. Like, what is Pip going to do when an Andro's just like, hey, heal the rest of your team? Sure, I'm just going to dive you and headshot you 6 times. Yay! I love being Pip. I love my headshot hitbox. It's so great. Yeah, you're just not going to be able to do anything. You're just screwed. So that's why damage Pip is just... Off damage Pip is just kind of dead to me. Maybe there's a version of it that I'm missing, but the fact that he's just so easily destroyed by these high DPS output characters, that's why I have him so low. And Willow basically has the same exact issue as Pip. No damage, dies extremely easily to all the meta champions. Strix, BK, Xin, Tiberius, Cassie, Leon, Kin. Maybe Shaolin, Victor, Maeve. All those meta champs absolutely destroy Willow, absolutely destroy Pip. And that's why they're extremely low on my tier list. Willow's just that bad. They've nerfed her so hard. That's why Willow's a D and Pip's a C. She's just that bad. It's just terrible. And moving on to F category. F's in the comments for Moji. Moji has achieved the F category. Honestly, her changes this patch just feel terrible. I think Moji needed that shield health card to be good. Seeing all the Moji one-tricks struggling this patch, F's in the comments for the Moji one-tricks, they're just... It just feels bad. I don't know. I played Moji like 3 times, and every single time I was like, why would you ever pick this champion? I get it. I'm not a great Moji. I get it. All right, for all the Moji mains out there. Her damage output is not consistent enough. They did stealth nerf her right-click. It doesn't stack up charges as fast. Her DPS is insane, but her survivability is so low. It's just so low. Her shield basically does nothing at this point. Her lifesteal and stuff like that isn't enough to a point where I'm putting her in F. What do you guys think about the damage tier list? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and we're going to move on to tanks and supports, and once we're done with that, we'll wrap it all up at the end. Moving on to my tank portion of the tier list, I'm going to be real with you guys. Tanks are what I know least about the meta. I think I have a good idea of what's good from the tank categories, but I play tanks the least. I only know a few of them, and Honestly, it's hard to know exactly where tanks are. But I do think tanks are in a decent spot, actually. A few of them I feel are extremely, extremely strong. And for the most part, I think they are above average. I do think you need tanks in this meta. I don't think it's a triple DPS meta, really. At least at this point. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe triple DPS will just own some of these tanks. But I still think they're extremely good. And the utility they bring to the game is still unmatched. Starting off with my S category, like I did in the damage category, we have Barrick. And Barrick just seems good. His normal damage output with his normal gun is crazy. Like, I'm top damaging when I play Barrick. That's how much damage he does. You can run Architectonics. You can go a little bit more tankiness with Fortify. And you're just really hard to kill. He's got some really nuts cards, like Double Time. It's basically just the new bowling ball. I still run bowling ball and double time in my deck, and I just feel extremely hard to kill. Fortify actually makes your shield pretty strong. Probably one of the best shields in the game, and you're not giving up much. Tinkering, honestly, is just kind of dead. I know some people are saying it's not that bad. It's still runnable. However, I do think his normal gun's just too good to go tinkering. And also getting that extra shield health with Fortify. I honestly don't know. A lot of people are running Architectonics. I see the value there, but I think the Fortify value is there as well. I just think Barrick's good. Barrick's just good, in my opinion. Moving on to A+, this is kind of controversial, I think, having Koa this high. I just think Koa, a good Koa, is still extremely hard to beat. The things you can do with him, just hooking people in, on CC, like, just hook not being countered by resilience is just mind-blowing to me. I don't know how you would counter hook with resilience. Just the fact that it's a CC that's uncounterable. You can go half shell now. You can go pluck with his new alt change. I just think Koa's good. I just think he's really good still. That's why I have him at A+. I could be wrong. He could drop lower. I know a lot of people aren't picking him as much in ranked. However, every time a good player on the other team has Koa, the game just feels hard. The game just feels really hard. I think the execution to be a good Koa is definitely higher this patch. His damage output got nerfed a lot. However, I still think he's really good in the hands of good Koa. Moving on to Torvald. Torvald has been just permaban in ranked. I'm permabanning him. I think he's just so not fun to play against. However, I don't think he's S. I definitely think he's worth banning. However, I think in the right situations, a team that knows what they're doing draft-wise, he is counterable, and he's not as good. I don't know. He's still really good. Don't get me wrong. He's an A+ for a reason. I just think he's not a premier tank. I think he's not Barrick level quite yet, but he's close. He's very close. I could be wrong. The fact that you can heal, the fact that you can give ammo to your DPS, the fact that you have a 1500 health shield and Wrecker's garbage, I don't know. Maybe he's an S. I could be wrong about this, but he definitely feels really, really good. So that's why my A+ category is Koa and Torvald. Just strong champions overall. Moving on to my A category, we have Terminus. Terminus had just got so many buffs over time. The fact that he doesn't have a shield, his siphon lasts forever. He just feels good right now. I don't know. It's something about it. Just the meta fits Term really well. And with the meta fitting Term, it just makes... I don't know what it is about him. His deck just feels really good. The healing on his right click, the siphon constantly being up, the mobility, the space you can make, the extra life, just his whole kit together. Terminus is an A in my opinion. Just really, really strong champion. One of the best tanks in the game by far. Not by far, but I mean, he's 2 tiers above the meat and the potatoes. Moving on to Atlas. A lot of people are probably like, wait, Random Noob, why Atlas so high? And I'll tell you why right now. The reason Atlas is so high is because of one card, and one card only. Some of you guys might know it already, and you might know what I'm about to say. Phantom Pain. What Phantom Pain does, it's a card that reduces the cooldown of your shield by 1 second per level for every person you hit with your setback. So if you go Deja Vu and you hit 2 people, it reduces your shield by 10 seconds. If you go Big Wall and you hit 1 person with your shield, which is all you can do. I know there are glitches where you can sometimes hit 2 people. I don't know if Phantom Pain works for that, but getting 5 seconds off your cooldown on your Big Wall plus Chronos being buffed to 300 credits Big Wall is literally always up, it feels like. And Atlas is extremely tanky when he's got a shield that's unkillable, that covers the entire map, that you have to dive through to kill him. I just think he's really good. I know his damage output got nerfed a lot, but with that Phantom Pain card, I think Atlas is 100% meta. I think he's going to be getting picked a lot in the coming months, and I think it's going to be really annoying. Like, they might have to nerf Phantom Pain, I'm not going to lie. And that is my A category. Moving on to B+, with Inara. Inara just, I don't know. Not much change from her. She got a new legendary card that I don't think anyone's going to really run. Mother's Grace is still just extremely good. She's just definitely going to be one of the best tanks in the game. She's always going to be picked as a point tank for the most part. I don't think she's really an aggressive tank with cripple or anything like that. However, I do think you're going to want to pick her up. She's going to be good in triple DPS comps. She's going to be good in double tank comps. She's going to be good with double heal, triple DPS comps. She's just going to be good in a lot of different things. She's just a versatile champion. You're going to need a point tank in this meta. You're going to need a point tank in almost every meta. So Inara is going to be up there. Looking into my meat and potatoes. Wait. Do I see a Zin? That's a damage. Well, yeah, he's a damage. However, we're putting him in the tank category as Tank Zin. I don't know. I just wanted to do something fun with it. You know, why not? Why not throw Zin in there as Tank Zin? Honestly, it's playable. It's playable and it's fun. So just why not? It's more like a triple DPS, sure. But when I say Tank Zin, I mean like Zin with his Viciousness card, that tank deck. I've made a few videos on it. It's got like 15,000 views. Check it out if you wanted to see it. Pretty good. We're probably going to make more tank content with Tank Zin for sure. But honestly, you just run Smolder and a Tank Zin style deck with the new card Viciousness. It basically just, if you hit your counter, someone hits your counter and you hit them with the 600 damage that comes out of it, you get your counter on a 1 second CD around, a 1 second CD, something like that. So you're pretty much Retaliation Zin from back in the day. Not quite exactly, but honestly, just a lot of fun, and that's why I'm throwing him here. I think it's playable. I think it's playable for sure. For the rest of the tanks, getting back to the seriousness of the tier list, honestly, I think they're all good. They're just not top tier for these four right here. Khan, Ruckus, Rom, and Nando. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised I have Ruckus this low. My issue with Ruckus is just Aerial Assault doesn't feel good enough in this meta where you need a lot of damage, in my opinion. I don't think his mobility and his tankiness and stuff like that is enough to kind of like throw him to the top. Honestly, this is kind of spicy on the Ruckus being this low. I could be completely wrong. Ruckus could be insane and be S, or he could be not great and even be lower. But I think B is a good spot. I think he's viable. I think he does okay damage. The things you can do with his ult with Aerial Assault are nuts, but that's just not enough for me to put him up higher in the tier list. His emitter, definitely pretty good now that no one's buying a Wrecker, really. Just not good enough, in my opinion, to throw him up. But he definitely, like I said, B, like we've said in the past, B is viable. So B, definitely, these characters are all playable. Don't get me wrong. Khan, the reason Khan solo is honestly just because of his shield. Everything else about his kit, stun Khan, you know, his shout, everything else is really good. Except the problem with Khan is his shield is so weak right now that characters like Bomb King, Strix can literally just melt it just by existing. They don't even need to buy Wrecker. And Khan that's bad against no Wrecker is a lot worse than Khan last patch, who was good against no Wrecker and bad against Wrecker. So that's why I have Khan a little lower. He's still good though. He still has his ultimate. He still has stun. He has things he can do to make himself viable. Just not good enough, in my opinion, just because the lack of damage, the lack of survivability, it's going to be an issue when all these other tanks just have more of all of that, right? Moving on to Rom. Rom, I don't know. Rom can work 100%. He can work super well against no CC, against no Genos. However, there's just too much of that right now, I think, to make him good. He's super tanky. He is extremely tanky. I don't know. Maybe I'm lower. Maybe I'm underestimating Rom. Maybe he's a little better. Like, I think Rom is probably the best tank out of these four or these five, just because of how tanky he is. So maybe he deserves to be a little higher. I don't know. Maybe we'll throw him there. I don't know if I feel good there either. Let's just throw him there for now. I had him super high. He did get nerfed, and honestly, just his impact doesn't seem to be a ton. His tankiness is crazy though. don't give me, his tankiness is absolutely bar none. Extremely tanky. Doesn't even need a shield. His health bar cauterizes. His dash deck is crazy. However, I just think there's too many counters to him, and his damage output just isn't quite there. That's why he's low. I don't know. We'll put him at B+. I think, and no, let's stick to our gut. Our gut's B. Let's stick to it. Rom, in my opinion, is a B character. Just an average character, playable, not great. Nando, I have Nando in the same spot. I don't know. Nando, he's got a lot of Scorch buffs. I think there's a deck out there, but I'm just not sure you can carry hard enough on Nando, and that's why he's lower on the tier list for me. His tankiness is there. His shield cooldown is extremely low with the right deck. I don't know. Maybe there's just a Nando main out there that's just like, dude, random noob, Nando's nuts. But I just don't see it. I kind of have him at this, B average category, along with all these other meat and potato tanks. So overall, that's pretty much the top of my tier list. And I know you guys see this character who's really lowly at the bottom. Ash. Oh, Ash. I don't know, man. Ash is just, she's not quite bad enough to make her an F. Like, she's definitely playable. She just has too many things against her right now. Her damage is so low. It's just so pitifully low. Maybe if you go Slugshot, it's just, my problem is if you go Slugshot as Ash, you're dying a lot. Also, Ash, Battering Ram got nerfed. Shield Ash, just not good enough. It's never been good enough. I don't know. Ash is just terrible for me. I'm sorry for all you Ash mains out there. I think, however, you Ash mains, I think she can be played. You guys can find a niche for her. She's not completely dead. She struggles into a lot of these tanks at the top. I will admit that. Khan, Atlas, Koa, Torvald. A lot of these characters are really good against Ash. And that's kind of a big reason she's this low. But I don't think she's quite dead. I think she's bad, but I don't think she's dead. I don't think she's F. You can play her. Anything above D is playable in my opinion. F is characters that I would never play ever, and I don't think you have a chance to win if you pick them. And Ash is just quite not there. And overall, I don't know. I think the tank tier list is pretty good. I think it looks solid. I do think tanks are pretty good. I don't think they're like insane like damages. You can see, I'd say a majority of it's pretty even, but they're viable. I think tanks are viable. I think people are a little overreacting, saying tanks are dead. I think you just gotta figure out what tanks to pick. I think these tanks, yes, I agree, they are dead. Like if you like Khan, if you like Ruckus, they're not dead. I think that's a big reason people are thinking they're dead is that all these meta tanks, a lot of these were meta, Khan, Ruckus, Ash in particular, and they're a lot weaker now. It's just different tanks. It's just different tanks going towards the top. Maybe not so different with Barrack, Koa, Atlas, but Torvald, Term, it's a little different. So I think the tank tier list turned out pretty good. And last but not least, the supports. Shout out to all my support mains out there. Thanks for playing support. Thanks for supporting in ranked. Thanks for last picking supports when we need it. Appreciate you all. Starting off with S category, as always, we have Genos. And I think it's kind of controversial. A lot of people think Furia might be a little better or equal. I just think Genos is insane. And here's the main difference between Genos and Furia for me. The main difference is Genos can heal through walls. And that's literally it. If Furia could heal through walls and Genos couldn't, I would switch this in a heartbeat. That is my main difference. Furia is still extremely good. Definitely really good. Just not quite S. I think Genos, just getting a Genos on the other team with a pocketed BK or a pocketed Koga or a pocketed Zen, pocketed Andro, any of the top damage characters or the top tanks with a Genos pocket just feels oppressive. And also, Genos fits these double support comps with maybe like rock damage or sky damage extremely well. Boosting up those supports that don't do much damage, boosting them to a damage level is really, really good. I just think Genos is the most versatile character in this game. He fits double tank comps. He fits triple DPS comps perfectly. He fits on every map because he can heal through walls. He's extremely hard to kill with his mobility and just how safe he can play. His ultimate can get insane picks in a fight. There's so many things about him. Just scream S to me. Just scream S. And honestly, I would like to see some Genos nerfs. I think having him as a sole triple DPS support and a little weaker with double tank. Playable. Don't get me. I want him to be able to support tanks, but they need to find a balance of where he's really good with triple DPS, not so good with tanks. I think the fact that he fits in so many different areas and just can do so many different things with so many different comps just makes him too good. That's why I want to see some Genos nerfs. Moving on to Furia. Furia just feels really good this patch. Her damage output, still quite there. Her ultimate, still quite there. Her healing, still quite there. Her beam cooldowns, quite there. As you guys have seen in some of my videos or my streams, I'm getting hit by beams like crazy. The new card that gives you that beam CD back is just really good. I don't know. Furia just seems strong to me. Definitely one of the better supports. And honestly, I like Furia being up here. Support mains love her. And that's what you want. Characters that are fun to play, that take skill to be towards the top, right? Like, you can't heal through walls. It takes skill. You don't really have to aim your heals, but you have to aim your left click. Your left click's very, very important. Your beam's very, very important in fights. Knowing when to ultimate, you use your ultimate to support your team, very important. I like Furia being a top tier support, and I think a lot of support mains do too. Moving on to the A category with Ying. Ying is just good. She fits this meta very well. Her healing didn't get nerfed. I mean, I think it got nerfed a little bit on her right click, but it was like 100 health, which isn't that big of a deal. Especially with cauterized nerfs, her healing's basically the same, and her ultimate's just unbelievable early game, just absolutely unbelievable. Even late game, it's pretty good now. If you have Rejuve 2 and they have Caught 3, you're still getting healed 35%, which is ridiculous because her ult heals for so much. Overall, Ying ult equals win fight button, and that equals high up in my tier list button. Moving on to Glover and Io. Grover fits B plus pretty well. He's just, I don't know. He's just an above average support in my opinion, in a lot of different situations. His cripple build is extremely good now that resilience got nerfed. Not as much resilience being bought, and I just think he's solid. He's just a little bit better than Io in my opinion. They're very close, but it just feels good for Grover. Io, the doggo, I don't know. Her doggo got nerfed a lot. It dies so fast now. I don't know, but I still think 15% DR and the amount of healing she can put out alongside the doggo being able to capture the points, she's still good. She's still good. She's still a solid character. I just don't think she's OP, and I don't think she's bad. She's just good. She's just solid. I definitely would pick her, but I don't think she's going to be Genos Furia Ying level. Moving on to Meldamba. Damba got nerfed really hard. However, I think he's still playable. I think he's still worthy of a B. His healing output isn't great for sure. It's not great, but it's not bad. Ripen Gourd, new talent. I don't know. I'm not sold on Ripen Gourd. I still think Spirit's Chosen's the best. But Ripen Gourd, apparently, according to support mates, the output is there. It's just, your team needs to learn how to play around it, because it's definitely important to be in the Gourd for Damba healing nowadays. But according to Vex, according to these good supports out there, Damba's still playable. Grok heals. I don't know. It feels good. They didn't buff it or anything, but there's just something about Grok heals that I feel the healing. I feel it. I get left clicked by I think it's only Spirit's Domain, by the way. I don't think Totem Grok is going to work, unfortunately, but I think Spirit's Domain is definitely playable. I don't think it's a throw to see Spirit's Domain Grok on my team anymore. I just don't. Like, we've seen some videos out of Vex with 300k healing, stuff like that. The healing output is there. I think Grok is playable as a support with Spirit's Domain, which is awesome, because I know there's a lot of Grok players that love that talent, and I'm glad it's like finally viable and finally playable. I played it once and it felt pretty good. It didn't feel bad. I don't know. Grok heals might be there. It might actually be there with the Spirit's Domain, and that's why he's gonna fit at B for me. And we have a flank in the healing category. What year is this? What is going on? Do we not know how to balance a game anymore? Why is a flank in a healer category? I don't know. But Skye can heal, so that's why we're putting her here. That's why she's here, baby. And I can't help but crack up seeing Skye as a healer. However, I do actually think it's kind of balanced. I don't think it's OP or anything. At first I did. At first I was like, what the heck? Why is Skye this good? However, we've learned over the few weeks of this patch that Skye the healing output isn't enough to kind of live through all this crazy damage that people are picking. And she's kind of just a sitting duck when you buy Illuminate. People just buy Illuminate 3 and Sky just gets owned. She just can't do anything. There's nothing she can do against Illuminate 3. And everyone knows where she is because she's always around her smoke screen. So Illuminate is very, very good against her. And also her damage output just isn't enough when you run Smoke and Daggers. And the heal output isn't really enough. It's good. Playable. That's why she's at B. However, why is there a flank in the healing category high res? I don't know. I actually don't mind it because it's balanced. If it does get OP though, that's gonna have to get nerfed instantly because Sky heals just should not be good. In terms of fun, in terms of actually existing in the game, I'm cool with it. But please don't make it OP. Just please. It just wouldn't be good. We have no C characters in the C category because Pip heals and Sarah's heals. Actually, I don't know. Maybe Sarah's just a little bit better than Pip. I don't know. These characters they just don't feel good. I think Sarah's we could probably put at C and be alright with it. Her healing output's there. Her ultimate's actually pretty good because people aren't really buying resilience, and shields just aren't as prevalent in the meta because of how fast they go down. So maybe Sarah's is a little better. I don't know. Sarah's and Pip both experience the same thing. Their healing output isn't good enough, and they have a really good ultimate with CC with no resilience. So I don't know where I put them. They both could be C, they both could be D. It's just either way, I don't think they're very good. That's what it comes down to. That's why they're at D for me. I just don't think they're good. Could they be C? Sure. Could they be D? Sure. It's honestly either one to me. Doesn't matter. They just don't do enough for the game right now in terms of your solo support. Maybe if double heals become meta, Pip could be a thing. Damage Saris could be a thing potentially. I don't know. With Soul Collector, I don't know enough about it to be like, yeah, damage Saris, meta 100%. No, I don't know that. I do know enough about Pip, and I do think heal Pip isn't very good. So that's why heal Pip is kind of this low for me. And I think I'm just going to keep my D for now. I think D is just not playable, and not quite not playable, but just really not good. And that's why they fit there. I think Sarah's going to need more healing, buff to her healing. Her healing's output's going to have to be insane to be played because she doesn't bring anything besides healing for the most part. And Pip, his survivability just needs to be better, and his heal output needs to be better. I don't think Combat Medic is good enough, and I don't think Megapot's good enough, unfortunately. I know some supports think Combat Medic's good. I just don't. I don't see it. I just don't. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm bad at Combat Medic Pip. I don't know. Maybe I'm just bad at it. But I personally don't see it. So that's my supports. And we're going to hop into the finished tier list with every champion in the game. And we'll talk about that and round out this tier list. Thank you all for watching. And there we have it, our finished tier list. So we can kind of see it's a little skewed toward the top. And what does that mean? Basically what that means to me is that damages might be a little overpowered right now. I think if we move a little of these damages down, just maybe, I don't know about nerf damages across the board, but nerf a few of these damages down to like average level, we can kind of see a normal tier list a little bit. Maybe BK or Strix, bring those down a little bit. Keep, a premier damage like Androxus. Keep something, there's always going to be premier damage, of course, but let's just even these out a little bit. It's just a little skewed towards one way. And I think if we can kind of skew those down to normal, the tier list will actually look pretty good. I actually think the meta can go a bunch of different ways right now. And this is just my early, reaction to it. I don't know. Maybe this meta is completely different in 2 weeks, in my opinion. All these characters changed around. But I think this is extremely close to what it actually is from the basically only 2 weeks I've had to experience it. And honestly, I think the meta is actually pretty healthy. I think there's a few things we could tone down, bring the DPS down just a tad bit, like I was saying, and I think the meta would be extremely healthy right now. I think healers are in a pretty good spot. I think tanks are in a pretty good spot for the most part, and I think DPS are in a pretty good spot. Like I said, just tone DPS down just a tad bit, not that much, because if we tone damages down too much, all of a sudden healer metas exist, and if you played in a healer meta, even just at the beginning of seasons, it's never fun. It's not fun to never be able to kill anything. Things dying is fun for both teams. It sucks to die, but getting kills on other things is more satisfying. It just isn't satisfying as a player to just beat your head into a wall, do a bunch of damage, and never be able to kill anything. It's a lot more satisfying to just get a kill. And I'm not saying we want fights to end in 2 seconds. No, we want fights to extend over time We want a meta in which skill prevails for the most part. However, we don't want people to never die. There's a very good balance there, and I actually think the game is very, very close to that. We just need a few little tweaks, and we're there. So overall, I actually am having a lot of fun in Season 3. I hope you guys enjoyed the tier list. I hope you guys, maybe learned something about your picks, learned where your picks could maybe stand, potentially, and just had fun watching, It's always fun to do these tier list videos. I enjoy them, and I just hope people get what they deserve or what they want out of it, not what they deserve necessarily, but what they want, and maybe learn something about the game, learn something about drafting. Honestly, you could draft similar to this tier list and you would do well. You will do well in your ranked games. You will probably climb just by knowing what champions are good, and that's important, and I love sharing that information with people. And I honestly hope you guys do well in your ranked games, have fun, get better, climb up, get masters, get GM, whatever you're trying to look for. And thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't hit that subscriber button and hit the notification bell and you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to do that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next vid. Peace.